kind of follow-up question to that. What prevents Dummer Yard from falling into the category of a brownfield or a superfund?
I believe it already is a brown field,
It already is.
Yeah, okay.
and I don't know
From federal standpoint.
I don't know the legalities of distinction between the two.
Yeah.
Superfund, we've had this chloralkali situation as a Superfund site for the last 20 years. And it still hasn't been remediated. So
Just started digging, right?
you know, I understand people's concern about that area. But it's DES, and I will probably negotiate with the developers over it. And the city may not have a whole lot to say.
So I just want to add a couple of items. If it's developed and the new owners, whoever they might be, were to open a new cell, that's going to increase the flow to the Napier Village pump station, and we're already at our peak there. We already have to shut the leachate off when we have a good rainstorm, so that we don't become overwhelmed. If they open a new cell and that flow increases just by that, we're gonna be looking at doing a rebuild on that pump station so that we can handle the flow.
That may be a part of.
And that's what,
Overview from the planning board, if it gets to
When it
that.
gets to that point, we have to start thinking about. We're basically bigger pumps. In order to get bigger pumps, we need a bigger wet well. You know, that's kind of what we'll be looking at then.
So you mentioned about like you guys found a pipe that was, only had about an inch left in it. They can't find, some of the other man covers to bring the back trucks up and clean them out. Is it possible that some of the leachate is leaking from the old infrastructure on piping along to the facility?
It's certainly possible. I don't know.
That's what I talked about with Jump Hudson Street.
Yeah, so that's gonna be more
There's a high
environmental
possibility.
contaminants.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the last one I have. I appreciate it. You, Council Corzine?
Yeah. So from my understanding, there's really two types of remediation for this type of a site. The exterior remediation, which is where we dig it up and then move it somewhere else. Probably not very feasible, but it's very costly. So then there's the interior type remediation where they still dig it up, but they make sure it's capped properly on the bottom, capped on top. From my understanding, that's what remediation is, to make sure that there's no leakage, everything's under control, then they monitor from that coming forward. And so, and this may be a question for you, but maybe towards the developers, they can make it. My understanding is their remediation, and I've got your opinion, is about capping it only, not doing any work underneath, there's still some vulnerabilities. And by capping it up top, I totally understand that kind of recreate the flow structure of stormwater runoff and stuff like that. And that leachate would be better under control. But we're not technically remediating that the way the definition of remediation kind of falls. Kind of push back to that.
I don't know. I've had very little discussion with the company that's planning on doing this. So I really don't know what their plan is. What I would hope would happen is that the new owner would remediate this, which would include repairing and extending the leachate collection system so that we collect all of the leachate out of there. And capping it properly so that we keep the storm water out of it. But again, I haven't had those discussions with anybody, and I haven't really been part of it, so. Yeah, it's difficult for me to answer that.
Any other council comments, questions? No? All right, there being no other council comments or questions, Don, I appreciate you coming and fielding some questions. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
All right.